Hello, everyone. This is Jordan. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Daily Gold's official YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to recap the week in precious metals and look ahead. Hope you all had a great week, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Precious metals, we know that the previous week there was an upside explosion, and that was interesting considering we had the Fed decision this week, and everybody knew that the Fed would cut. And so it was nice to see the market actually sell off after the Fed decision. And yet, even after that, you saw some steady buying into the weekend. So precious metals finished the week with slight gains. Gold and silver were each higher about 1.4% on the week. GDXJ was higher by 1.5%, GDX by 1%, SILJ by less than 1%. So not the greatest week, but considering that we had this huge upside explosion the previous week, I think it was a good week. So let's get into the charts. Okay, this is the daily candle chart. Gold here, silver here, gold-silver ratio. So here we have gold, which closed, nice close today, really strong candle, just below 2650. One thing I want to point out, if you study historical cyclical bull markets in gold, when gold is hot and really running, it remains above the 50-day moving average. So this is the 50-day right here, the blue. No, excuse me, the blue is a 100. So I messed up. But so the blue is a 100 here. The 50 would be something like this. So gold, again, we don't have the 50-day here, but you'll have to take my word for it. If you put in the 50-day moving average, it'll look something like that. And so gold is remaining hot by essentially holding above the 50-day moving average and pushing higher and higher. So very strong market. It's definitely kind of overbought, but overbought's a good thing. But at some point, if it hits 3,000 in the next couple months, it's probably going to be really overbought at that point. So that's where we are, 2646. 3,000 is the next upside target. And another thing I want to mention, this is a long-term point. If you look at the cup and handle chart for gold, and you look at the potential log target of around 4,000, that's basically the percentage target, and you look at historical cup and handles, something I found was the time for the market to go from the measured upside target to the log target in every case was 6 to 12 months. So whenever gold hits 3,000, potentially it could hit 4,000 6 to 12 months after that. Now, if gold hits 3,000 quickly, we could see a snapback correction at that point, maybe to 2,650 or 2,600. But we'll worry about that at that point. It's just gold's hot, it's getting overbought, but in the short to medium term, it should continue to move higher to 3,000. Silver closed at 3150, and we can see here there's some daily resistance right around 3150, some resistance here just above 32. Now, I mentioned in my video on Wednesday, if you look at the weekly chart for silver and also the monthly and the quarterly, there's some resistance at 32. So 32 for silver, this is a very significant level. So this is a big question over the next week or two, is can we see silver take out 32, not just on a daily basis, but can we get a weekly close above 32? What about even a monthly close? So I think there's 6 trading days left in the month, 6 or 7 trading days. So it's also quarter end too. So that's a question for silver, considering it's coming up to significant resistance at 32. But nevertheless, I do think in the next few months, regardless of what happens in the short term, silver can advance to 35. So that's where we are for gold and silver. Just another picture here on the weekly. I mean, we can see how strong gold has been the last couple of weeks. And you can see 32 for silver. That's what I talked about. Clear resistance on the weekly chart. And then, I love the weekly line chart, which it does a better job of showing how silver held above this previous resistance here, right here. So that's beautiful how it did that. Gold-silver ratio, I apologize for not looking at it. It's kind of a mixed picture right now. And you look at long-term moving averages, they're flat. And so when you have flat moving averages, I mean, it's kind of a mess. So for the lack of a better analysis on the gold-silver ratio, I just don't care that much about it right now. I'm more focused on gold, silver, and the miners. But at some point, we look for silver to lead, probably sooner rather than later at this point. Maybe after it closes above 32, it'll really start to lead gold. Okay, so brand new chart. You guys are the first ones to see it. Gold against the 60-40 portfolio. Now, this is monthly data, although I did put in an update here. Again, we have another 6 days left in the month, so I don't want to jinx it. But gold is getting pretty close to breaking this resistance against the 60-40 portfolio. So we know I've done multiple videos on this, just how significant it would be to get gold making that move like this above the ratio. We saw here, especially in the 70s, gold bottomed here. A couple years later, big move here in nominal real terms. Same thing happened here into 2003, which was, it was really a bigger move in the stocks than the metals at that point. But look, people, the key here is if we get a strong breakout move like this, you get a breakout in a vertical move over the next year or so, that is fuel for gold to get to not just 4,000, but 5, 6, maybe 7,000 in the next 3 years or so. So always got to keep an eye on gold against the 60-40. Before we get into the stocks, let me mention the Daily Gold Premium, my premium newsletter. We do big updates every weekend, every Sunday. You get a big update. With every update, you can easily see our model portfolio, all the stocks we own, top 10 company table, a watch list company table. You can learn almost everything about what we own, what companies we like, just by looking at one update and looking at these tables. That's how I designed it. And I do flash updates sometimes. There will be more of those coming over the months ahead as the market really heats up. So would love for you guys to consider our premium service. If you're interested in really learning and finding out the high quality juniors that have 5x to 10x potential in this cyclical bull market over the next 3 years or so, highly consider you to subscribe to the service. And with that, let's get into the stocks. Here we see, these are weekly bar charts, by the way, GDX, GDXJ. And here we can see that this close is actually, this is the second highest weekly close going back to the end of 2012. There was one close that was higher here. I want to say it's 40.60 something. So GDX was pretty close. GDXJ 49.71. So this is the second highest weekly close. There was one here that's higher. Second highest weekly close in 3 years. So really like the setup here. I think miners are setting up for potentially explosive move to the upside over the coming weeks and months. And so these are the daily charts, GDX, GDXJ, SILJ. You know, last week I talked about how this could be a running correction in these stocks, where here's when the correction began, here's where it ends. And not quite a running correction, but more on the silver juniors. But focusing on this action, you know, I should have put a thumbnail here, so I apologize for that. But this looks to me, especially after today's strength, especially in GDX, GDXJ, that these are getting ready to move higher and break away from these corrections and consolidations. So, and you know, looking at the GDX advanced decline line, I mean, it's come back a hair, but it's still broadly very strong. So, you know, even though gold had a big move today and yesterday, I mean, a decent move, and it outperformed the miners on the week, that really doesn't concern me. Sometimes you can't get too much into the weeds and you know, psych yourself out and overanalyze. We have gold breaking out. It's going to run to 3,000. Silver is challenging 32. When it can break 32 on a weekly basis, it's going to run to 35, and that is going to carry these stocks higher. And so I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming days and weeks we start to see the miners like really bust higher and money start to go into the juniors. So it's setting up really well. That's all for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you guys again on Monday for Macro Mondays. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.